Rest in peace, Mike Browning. Stay tuned. What's happening, Yogans? How's everyone been? I hope everyone's been having a good weekend, all that stuff, wherever you may be. Got a few things that I'd like to discuss. This will be a bit of a different one. This is another rest in peace video, sadly, man. Fucking Mike Browning of original Morbid Angel, drummer, vocalist, has passed. Also of Nocturnus, man, AD, or Nocturnus and Nocturnus AD, whatever the fuck. I forgot what the whole story is with that. Yeah, man, come fucking grab a drink. Come fucking hang out for a bit. I ain't got nothing fancy tonight, just some fucking, I got some Miller Lite, I still got some Paps. Fucking, I didn't make the liquor store, and I just had to, I went to the gas station, and that's all they fucking had. But I don't mind it, it's not terrible in a pinch. I'll drink it, so, cheers. But, yeah, rest in peace, fucking Mike Browning. That was a shock. That Goat Metal Show, Barry of that Goat Metal. If you guys haven't checked out that Goat Metal Show, Barry's a good dude. He's got a channel. His band Go to Madness, original fucking brutal deathcore from fucking New York. So he's got a really kick-ass shit. If you like that style, they do it well. They're old school as fuck. Anyways, he's got a channel called That Goat Metal Show, and he posted it. I had no fucking idea. It just like fucking popped up, and I was like, man, motherfucking Mike Browning now. I'm 62. So what we have, B-War, Marduk, now Mike Browning. Now, if you guys are not familiar, and I think most people are that are into this music, but Mike Browning was original member. Him and Trey Azadoth and Morbid Angel, both formed Morbid Angel back in early 80s when they were in high school. And they had several demos. They made a record together that they didn't release until many years later when Mike was out of the band. It's actually kind of sad story what happened to him with Morbid Angel. I think if he stayed in the band, I don't think they would have been as successful as they were. And things happened the way the cards fell the way they did, but it's not always a pretty thing. It's kind of a shitty situation what happened to him, how he got booted out of the band. You guys can look up some interviews on it, but kind of a shitstorm what happened to that guy. It's kind of sad, but he prevailed. He went on to do Nocturnus, which I think is a really unique fucking take on for the time, especially late 80s, early 90s. An interesting take on death metal and what they were doing. They were really technical, complex. They also had the balls to fucking throw in keyboards, which was not something, especially being from fucking Florida band, where death metal, there was a death metal hotspot at the time in the late 80s, early 90s. No bands were really doing the keyboard thing, not like, so they took that plunge and they did it, but it still sounds evil as fuck. Very complex riffs, thrashy elements, of course, because it was that time period. Solos, evil vocals, and even they went a step further with lyrically. They did like kind of a sci-fi interdimensional type shit, but they still made it evil, and I almost kind of get like a Hellraiser vibe, or some stuff like that. Well, one of the Hellraiser movies is they did in space, but it was kind of cool. But they did this like interdimensional thing. I think it was Hellraiser. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Anyways, man, they took the sci-fi element and made it like occult, satanic, and that was an interesting take on the whole lyrical concept of a band. I think that really interesting. But yeah, Nocturnus was great. And then that early era of Morbid Angel. Now, some of the diehards only swear by Abominations. I think that's like Abominations of Desolation. That the album that didn't officially get released in '86. But people had many bootlegs of it. I think it would have been cool if they would have actually put that out. And they could have redone. I like the redone songs that are on the other albums, like Hellspawn. I think they end up redoing that on Formula's Fatal to the Flesh. I think it was a great fucking redux version of that song. But the original's just as good. It's good for what it is. Because their early sound with Mike Browning was different. It was very occult and satanic. They were really big into the Necronomicon and the horror elements of, you know, that side of stuff. And they took, believe it or not, Merciful Fate was a huge influence on early Morbid Angel. I mean, you could hear it in the riffs, some of the breakdowns. So they had that. They had, like, you know, Slayer. Slayer was a big influence. I believe Creator as well. You know, probably Sodom more than likely. You know, Venom too, of course. But I think Merciful Fate and Slayer were like two huge influences on their early sound, and they added all that like creepy fucking occult elements to it. I mean, they were just unique sounding. Mike Browning's vocals were really guttural, but like in a higher, raspier way. More like almost what you could kind of consider like black metal, you know, by today's standards. His vocal range was really evil sounding. It was really cool, and the fact that he was also a drummer. You know, that's not many bands. I mean, it might be more common now, but singers are usually not drummers. So Mike was the singer and drummer of Morbid Angel originally, which even makes him more, I think, kind of stand out and unique. But he continued on to do that role in Nocturnus as well, is sing and play drums, you know, vocals and drums, which is not. That's what I love about death metal and underground music, is people just do things that are unconventional, and they make it work because either they have to, or I don't know. A lot of times out of necessity, but sometimes the other side of it could be just an artistic expression. Being able to do that, especially I gotta give you know, credit where it's due. Drummers that are vocalists, that is something they don't get enough credit for that. It's different. But the fact is, especially in extreme metal, when you're doing drums, I mean, you're doing physical shit, and then you're trying to do the vocals on top of it, and I don't know. I think it's just an incredible job and ability to do something like that. So my hat's off to fucking extreme metal drummers that do vocals, man. Fucking, I think that's some of the coolest shit. The guy from Absu, you know, back in the day, Proscriptor. I mean, yeah, he did the same thing, like extreme metal drums with vocals. King Fowley of fucking Deceased, man. He was another one. There's who's it? Chris Rightford from fucking Autopsy. There should be a whole video on just death metal, extreme underground metal drummers that are vocalists and play drums. I think that'd be a cool fucking video to do, because there's a few. I mean, more than you would think. You think there'd be one or two, but there's quite a few actually. Rest in peace, Mike Browning. He was one of them. And so in his honor, I'm gonna play an early Morbid Angel track, one of my favorite songs. I like the Mike Browning version. I also like that, you know, they redid it on Blessed Are the Sick. I like that version too. So that being said, man, fucking check it out. I think I chose Holy Blasphemies. Fucking love this track. Cheers. Yeah, that's off of a '86 demo. I don't have it, but I heard it on. I thought it'd be something cool because that was like when he was really into the band. Um, and that track's great. I like I said, I mean, the redone version, how they did it, and the original. It has a really uniqueness to it. And then of course, if you haven't had Abominations of Desolation, they put that out in the early '90s, and there's been like re-versions of it. It's been repressed. You can find it. So if you like the Mike Browning stuff or you haven't heard it, go check it out. Check out Morbid Angel, Abominations of Desolation. That's the name of the record they did with Mike Browning. Of course, you can find some really cool interviews, and he goes into discussion of where he was at and how it all came to be. But like I said, rest in peace. Here in a bit, we're gonna play another thing from Mike Browning did. Back when I was in high school, I'm sure you guys have talked about my good friend, many years. I've known him since we were in junior high. Mike V. Fucking, him and I were hanging out. It was like a Friday night, and he somehow got a DVD, or it was a VHS. I can't remember. Probably a VHS. No, it was a VHS. Fucking, we still watched. They had DVDs, Blu-rays, and shit. But we still were old school and watched VHS. Somehow he got this VHS of. It was an earache compilation of, and this is from the early '90s. It was an earache comp of Morbid Angel was on there, Nocturnus was on there, Napalm Death was on there. I think Brutal Truth. There was a Godflesh. There was a bunch of bands from that. Maybe it wasn't God. I can't remember all of it. But there was a bunch of bands from that era, and they did. Earache put it out, and they did interviews, and it was like about the grind scene. Entomb was on there. They were talking about grindcore and death metal. Each band had a really, really descriptive interview, and they'd play a song in the background. They're going back and forth with the music video of whatever the song was they were playing, and the band was like, I was stoked because those are the days when we didn't have fucking YouTube. You couldn't see anything like that, and I don't know how Mike got the fucking got this tape, but somehow he did, and it was fucking. We stayed up, we spun it all fucking night, getting stoned, drinking, man. It was cool, I cherish that shit. But here's a little clip, not a little clip, but here's like a 7 minutes. You guys want to hang out for a bit, watch this fucking thing. It's really interesting, and it still holds up. The topics and discussion that they speak of. This came out probably like 90, 91. I can't. Early 90s, right in the heyday of in death metal, and this music was really still refreshing and new and coming onto the scene. But it's a really good interview, and it's descriptive. And you get to see Mike Browning in his youth. Fucking talk, and everything he says still fucking holds up to this day. It's incredible. Like something he says at the end, he's like, if this music doesn't expand, it dies off, and if he could only see his young, think about it from that perspective and look where it's at today, it really it's not died off at all. It's grown. It's a double-edged sword now. It's oversaturated, but at the same time, there's just as many people into it, and even more than there was back in the day. That's fact. And it's harder to find good stuff, but it's there. People are doing it, and people are still trying to expand and do unique things. It's incredible. So yeah, stay tuned. Check this out. Cheers.
Like some of your hardcore people still, that are into punk and stuff, and they like grindcore a lot. Then you have your people that are into the heavier thrash stuff that, like grindcore too. So it's kind of like a crossover type thing. But I think generally a lot of people that would listen to like Metallica and stuff aren't into grindcore yet here. But over in Europe, like, your whole crowd will be always just into grindcore. They're all like death metal crowds and stuff over there. A lot of bands have been using keyboards in the studio and like live tapes and stuff like that for a really long time. As far as I can remember back, Merciful Fate, bands like that, they use keyboards. And to me, it just, we're like, I guess, the only band that actually has a keyboard player like all the time.
I've had people come up to me like in Europe and go, man, you know, I'm so pissed off because I wanted to put keyboards in the band that we were doing a year ago, and I said, no, you know, it's not the thing, and then here comes your album, you know, and it's like, and it's there and it's accepted, and they're kicking themselves in the ass for not having done it before, you know. It's really the only thing that's limited is movement, as far as being able to move around, you know, a whole lot. But since I'm pretty much locked behind there anyway, I'm limited to just thrashing where I'm at, so it doesn't matter if I'm on 3 feet or, you know, a huge stage.
I used to play Morbid Angel, and that was like back in 84 to 86, you know. Well, I think basically the Tampa and Florida whole scene is what happened. It started a long time ago, like the early 80s with bands like Nasty Savage and Death and Morbid Angel and Savatage. And what's happened is, like, the people have been into that kind of music for quite a long time, and they're just like used to it, and it breeds a lot of really good musicians there that want to do that kind of music.
Whenever anybody tells me they're thinking about moving their band down to Florida, I say, hey, you know, it couldn't hurt. Nocturnus is trying to get into the fantasy fiction with the evil, but also in various locations, you know, and any kind of bizarre locations we can like come up with and create a sonic image of that, you know.
Our songs are more like short stories, and they're all kept at a very fictional level, to where it's like, you know, somebody can't actually go out and, you know, build a time machine in their backyard and go back in time, you know. I mean, it's like when you have some bands that are talking about sacrificing people or whatever, you know, it's like, you know, people can actually go out and do that stuff, and that's where, you know, it gets, there's the line that you draw between, you know, real life and fantasy.
What we're really telling people is just, you know, go out and use your own strengths and you know, make your own way in this world, you know, basically. And that's like the real thrust of it. I mean, we do take a pretty brutal swing at Christ and his followers in a way, but really it's just like taking a swipe at him to try to, you know, bite him down a notch to show that that's really not, you know, an all-inclusive thing that people just need to like blindly follow. Anything, any religion, Satanism, Christianity, anything like that.
There's only so fast you can play, and there's only so heavy you can be without it all sounding the same, or without it just being a blur. So, you know, maybe we've opened up a whole new branch of direction of way to go with the music, you know, where these people would never listen to something with keyboards before. Now they're listening to that and they're going, well, yeah, that's pretty good. It's working, you know, and they're opening their mind up and expanding this music so it doesn't get closed in into one, you know, genre or whatever. You know, it's just like, as long as it keeps expanding and bands keep experimenting and doing different things, it's not going to die out.
Yeah, I love that. They're playing Lake of Fire in the background, and they zooming in, you know, going back and forth. There's something really cool about that effect. I love that you don't see. I don't feel like you see it anymore with interviews and when people are talking about bands. Like, I don't know, something about it when they stop it. It's still they quiet it down. It's playing in the background, and then the guys start talking, and they're talking about their music. There's something, I don't know, so dramatic. But I don't know, really, I don't know if that's the word for it. Fucking great. I love that shit. Yeah, I love that fucking interview. But Nocturnus was great. Fucking Mike Browning, man, we're gonna miss him. And he had a very important, significant in the underground. I mean, like the start of death metal. I mean, Morbid Angel was one of the starting bands. They weren't the first, but they definitely were a very, very, and still are important thing. And he had a very important role in the beginnings of Morbid Angel, and some of their best songs were started with him and Trey. So, rest in peace, Mike Browning. We're gonna fucking miss you, guy. Cheers. But last week's band. You all happen to stick around for a minute. Some of you guys have heard of this, some have not. A little band called Blasphemic Cruelty. Now the song that I played, fortunately, I do not have the record of, because it's fucking damn near impossible to get for some goddamn reason. Osmosis does not want to re-release it. I don't know why they should, but it was Devil's Mayhem. I used to actually have it, but I gifted it to a friend. It's not because I didn't like it. I just thought, like, I'll get another one. And I never just got around to getting another copy. I actually got that copy from Hell's Headbangers. It's sold out, but you can get they made another EP. They have an EP, and it is on Hell's Headbangers. So Blasphemic Cruelty, Crucified of the Inferium. You can find this on fucking Hell's Headbangers. It's good. There's fucking 4 tracks, and they do a really kick-ass Sodom cover. Now, for y'all not familiar with Blasphemic Cruelty, Gene Palubicki of Angel Corpse, Perdition Temple. This was a little side project that he did. He doesn't plan on revisiting it, but it was his itch to his take. He heavily influenced by the thrash and speed metal of the 80s. And he wanted to do an extreme version of that, and that's what it is. It's like all the thrash that he liked, death thrash style stuff, you know, Dark Angel, fucking Sodom, Slayer, you know, Creator. I think he wanted to do his own take on that, but it's really good. There's a lot of cool riffs. The riffs are fucking awesome, very complex. It's very fast. The drumming is really incredible. It's pretty much almost the vocalist from that he does with Perdition Temple. He does the bass and vocals on it. It's incredible. It's really good. So, yeah, you got a chance, go check that out. But what am I spinning tonight? Let's get to that. I'm a big fan of old Vital Remains, and I'm spinning tonight. I haven't spun this in a while. Looking In a Cold Darkness. This is the early era. The second record. Now, out of their early stuff, this might be my favorite. Into Cold Darkness. Now this is some fucking blackened death metal at its finest. They are one of the first bands from the U.S., known bands to do corpse paint in their live performances. That was something that they were known for. Jeff Grosslin on vocals. They had the whole, fucking fire on stage. Fucking, it was cool. They inverted crosses. And most might not consider this black and death, but it really is. They really took those elements of Merciful Fate, Celtic Frost, and threw them in there, maybe a little bit of Venom. In a way, what they did was that there's these slow droning parts with keyboards, and most might kind of they're doomy, but not. It's not doom. They're I don't know. I guess a great example would be like something like Acheron. It reminds me of, like, Acheron had that fucking satanic church keyboard thing going on. These ritualistic passages. They throw that enchantment into their music, and to me that's what gives it that black metal atmosphere to it. And then there's a lot of blast beats, fast elements. The songs are long and epic, just like traditionally Vital Remains is known for extremely long songs. This is one of my favorites. It's very raw recording, and I love it. You gotta check it out. I definitely want to do. I'm gonna have to do a video on Vital Remains. For me, growing up, they were a very important band. Now, I didn't hear the early stuff first, but one of the albums that still is on my top 10 death metal list, and probably one of the best, probably top albums of the fucking millennium, this century, is Dechristianized. I heard that, and it fucking knocked, probably every millennial, everyone my age that heard that when it came out was not familiar with Vital Remains were like, holy shit, I never heard anything like it at that time. It was really groundbreaking for me. I'll have to do I'll do a whole video on that. I really want to. It's very important. But I went back, getting that album, I went back in their back early catalog and picked up the other ones, man. And I like them. They're just as good, just different members, not really. It's a different sound, but not a different concept, if that makes sense. They still kept their long songs and epicness and those dark, evil passages that they have, and this one really shines on that. Now look at that, man. It's got the Northern Lights, a fucking wolf on it, and the Cold Darkness, man. It's so evil sounding. It's great. And on this version, this is the 2004 release, Peaceville. They do a cover of Countess Bathory on here, and from Venom, and Celtic Frost, Dethroned Emperor, man. It's great. Oh, that's about all I got for you guys this video. New subscribers, old subscribers, man. Fucking, I thank you. I appreciate it. This is something I do at the end. And most of you all that come around Foolish Dave's channel knows this. I play a song at the end. I'll tell you who the fuck it is, and we discuss it in the next video. And I always try to specify, get yourself a decent pair of fucking headphones, Bluetooth headphones. You don't want to listen to this shit on a fucking shitty cell phone speaker. They're the size of a bug, It sounds like shit. So yeah, if you're able to, tune in on a TV. Most TVs now have the fucking YouTube app or whatever the fuck. Put it on, crank it on you some fucking good speakers. And if you're on a phone, put that fucker down and just listen, because the phone, it still has all that fucking feed and distracting shit, and that defeats the whole purpose. Just kick back and, listen. All right. Until next time. Rest in peace, Mike Browning. Stay tuned.